and welcome back to my channel. So can you believe it is already day 5 of this mega goal planning week? Because I kind of can't. So today's video, our final video, is going to be my 2021 plan with me, which, because we have had a week of a lot of me chatting and walking you guys through my system, I thought that what we would do for this one was keep the explanations and the chit chat to a minimum and just dive right on over to my table. I'm gonna time lapse you guys just because honestly I have a lot to set up and I want to get through as much as possible on camera with you guys so that you can see it. And then as I do whenever I have a full time-lapse kind of video is I will show you guys a full flip through when I actually finish so you can see everything kind of from start to finish. So honestly, without further ado, let's head on over. You guys will remember this from yesterday's video. I have my lovely Galen leather notebook cover, and basically what I did is I just threw the notebooks I will be using this year in here. So I am going to figure out exactly how I'm going to set this up a little bit later, I think. What I want to see is, yeah, that seems like not a very useful thing. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go, but I will be using this notebook and I'm planning to have both of these fit in here. I'm just not entirely sure of what the configuration will be. So what I think we're going to do is, as you can see here, I have not even opened this. Literally don't even have a knife. Cool, cool, cool. That was well thought out, Caitlin. So, okay, that was not nearly as satisfying as it should have been because I should have thought ahead. So, there we go. So as you can see, I have a brand new notebook. Honestly, I think I purchased this like 2 years ago. It's been in my stash for a minute. And yeah, so I have done absolutely zero pre-planning, which is going to be interesting because obviously I have been using a B6 notebook this entire year. And so I have like lost all of my A5 reflexes, I feel. Oh man, archiving stickers. Mine obviously does not have archiving stickers because I made it. So we are going to just do a quick little spine break in. Because, you know, always good. Also, can I just say that I did not think this ahead when I did my nails this week. My nails are like a really, really dark, like burgundy red, which is really pretty, except that it marks on paper like crazy. So who would like to hazard a guess how many times I'm going to accidentally draw on my paper with my nails? Because I think it's going to be a lot. So here. So weird to have like a hardcover notebook. Honestly, so you guys saw my explanation of why I'm using this notebook and all of that. Honestly, there is still a part of me that's like, oh, I really just want to make my own, but waste not, want not. And I love this copper notebook, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and use it and we'll kind of go with it. Also, I was thinking that because of the changes I'm making, I figured it would be kind of nice to actually have a little bit more space in my notebook, even though honestly, I loved having a B6 notebook. I will definitely go back to it. I just, oh my gosh, I am such an idiot. I don't know why, but for some reason my brain was like, oh, I did a gray notebook. No, I did a copper notebook because I was following my order. So by rights, I should be doing a black notebook. And you know what? We're not. We're just gonna do another copper one because I love copper. So yeah, anyway, sorry, that kind of a little distracted. So I think what we're gonna do is start in here. And honestly, once I do the time lapse, I will just kind of come back and chat at the end because I am gonna try and do as much setup as I possibly can. I think I'm going to, also do my setup in here. And actually, okay, yeah, that's actually kind of the biggest thing, but we have a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse you guys, and I'll come back at the end and explain sort of how things went, if there are any hiccups along the way and all of that. So let's get setting up. So that is my setup all done, and I do want to just say that I did have to stop filming kind of in the middle of the time lapse and come back to it the next day. And if you're wondering why all of a sudden it seemed like I was unable to use a ruler correctly, it's because I am a little bit tired. I've been trying to get a lot done this week, and it just kind of all caught up with me while I was filming today, which kind of sucks because I, obviously wish that I didn't have so much whiteout in my bullet journal, but that's kind of the way it goes sometimes. So I thought before we head on over and do our outro, I will give you guys a full flip through of everything that I set up. I'm gonna try and keep it short-ish because we already did do a bunch of chatting about the pre-planning side of things, so let's dive right in. So I did split my index into 2 different columns, so I now have 4 parts to my index, which the way that I index and also the fact that the new version of the LEUCHTTURM only has 1 spread of an index, I find that this is actually really helpful for me, so this is something I just kind of automatically do. I also basically just ignore the information that is up here, and I don't even like white it out or anything, I just full on ignore it. So there's that. I also did my top 5 goals, so I chose sort of a representative word or expression for all of them so that I could just kind of have that as my sort of like first thing that I see. And I know I have done it kind of on this page before, but I decided that I would rather have it here. I no longer do my year at a glance, and so I don't really need this particular page, so I thought this would be a good way to make use of it. And so this is really my overview of my top 5 goals. I don't go into any real detail here, it just lets me see if I've started on stuff and all of that, and also like when I open up my bullet journal, I can see kind of what's going on. So I have Italy, going to my Italian immersion class. I have doing my Korean class, hopefully here in France. I have plus French. I was like, that somehow makes sense as like add French nationality to like my identity. I don't even know, don't ask me why, it just worked in my brain. So that is working on my French citizenship. Font is ideally working on second font. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And NWW is no work weekend. So those are my top 5s. Then I have my future log, and I'm so proud of myself because I've remembered to start on February so that I have January at the end of this year. So when I'm starting to like plan ahead for the next year, I already have January that I can start filling in. Next up, I have my 2021 goals overview, and I am going to try and set this up before I do my Q1 / January plan with me so that you guys can kind of see how that actually goes. But I have decided that I'm going to just do the way that my brain lists information anyway, and I'm just going to do kind of like columns or like sections of stuff. I'm not even going to do a mind map because I've realized that that's just not the way that my brain works, which I should have known this like a long time ago when I realized that the only way I set up collections in my PROJO is like in columns and in categories. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that for my 2021 goals because that's how I pre-plan them, so it makes sense to like actually lay them out that way. So that will get done a little later. Then once I have this all filled out, I will start sort of shuffling things into specific quarters. So I know, for example, I start getting ready for the new school year in Q3. I start working on my next year's planning in Q4. I typically will do a lot more like sewing in Q3 or kind of in the winter. I kind of have times of the year when certain things are more likely to happen. So I will kind of block those in here so that when I'm setting up and thinking about my ideas for the upcoming quarter, I can look at this and kind of have that reminder of, oh, I meant to actually work on this. And as you guys can see, I did really, really basic. I honestly just used my Microns, and I use these 2 Pentel sign pens. So I have this one is just like a regular black one with a soft tip, and this is the finer point one that I got in Korea that I don't actually know if you can even find anywhere else. So I basically just went with that for all of my spreads because I just wanted them to be really functional, and I didn't really feel like messing around with any colors or whatever. And honestly, for these spreads, I don't typically do anything super fancy because it's just the front of BUJO stuff, so I want it all to look cohesive, and I really just need it to like be ready to go. So I usually will do it in black ink or gray ink or whatever. So this year I was just like, we'll just do it in black ink. So quarterly goals. I then have my top 5 goals. So this is where I will do the breakdown of all of the different steps that I need to do. And so the ones on this side, there's less behind the scene planning that needs to go into them because in some cases it's already done. So for example, with Italy, I've been saving up for this trip for over 1.5 years already. I have already paid the deposit to the school. I have contacted the school and confirmed my dates. So really I need to, like, you know, buy a plane ticket and buy a train ticket and all of this. And this is obviously going to happen several months down the line. This is not happening very soon, but you know, I don't need as much space for this because I've already been working on this since this was actually a 2020 top 5 goal. The Korean class, for example, I have started budgeting for the class itself, but then I need to contact the school and or download the application for the class and like all of that kind of stuff. But again, not like a ton of stuff that I need to actually deal with because the goal itself is sign up for the class, because once I sign up for the class and I pay for it, I'll go. The next one is no work weekend. And I think what I'm gonna do for this one is probably draw out some kind of like a grid with each square representing a week, and on every week where I don't work on the weekend, I'll fill it in, and any weekends where I do work on the weekend, maybe I'll do it in a different color so I can kind of keep track of how that goes throughout the year. Then on this side, these are ones that are much more involved. So font, obviously there's a lot of like little moving parts to it. And with nationality, I have a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have to gather for the application. I'm gonna have to probably have like, I don't know, a class or meetings or whatever. So I need more space for that. So that was kind of how I decided how to lay those out. So I have my YouTube calendar. So these spreads are specifically for the videos I actually post, as opposed to my editorial calendar, which hangs up on my bulletin board, which is where I kind of play around with when I'm going to post stuff and video ideas, and like I keep them on sticky notes so that I can move them around. So this is, once I actually decide and I go ahead and post, this is just my log of what videos I've actually done. And I like to have this because it's kind of cool to look back and see like the entire year of videos and just like see what kind of stuff I got up to, sort of thing. So I do have 2 full spreads, have the whole year just kind of all at once. I didn't really want to write down anything else, so I just split YouTube in a very strange way, so yeah. Then I have my YouTube workflow, which this basically, I drew this spread, like basically everything up until the grid part of this spread I did yesterday, and then drawing, like filling this out and doing the lettering, and then all the rest of this stuff I did today. So like that's where, if you kind of noticed that things got a little bit wonkier, that's why. It's the next day basically. So even this, I was like, what did I even do here? Like, why is that so weird? Anyway, but yes, so this is my YouTube workflow. I love this. I use it for every single video I do. It just kind of keeps me on track. Honestly, I could probably do without it, but it really just like lets me see the progress that I'm making. And also if I don't do all of the steps on one day, I kind of know where I left off. So I do keep doing it. So I did 2 full spreads because this year I only actually did 1 spread, like 1 full spread in the front of my bullet journal, and I ended up needing to do a second one around like August. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and write 2, like fill out 2, and then that way I will maybe hopefully have enough for the entire year. And this is where you can see I had to fix this line. I just like gave up the ghost on this one. I was like, it's just gonna be weird. It's fine. So yeah, very functional spread, very simple. Moving on, so then I have my YouTube tracker. So I am only gonna do 1 page of this because honestly, I don't hit milestones too frequently, and I just wanna have it in case I hit any big ones, but it's not like the most important thing in my bullet journal. So I was like, yeah, 1 page is good. And also because I'm going to have my new quarterly setup in my actual bullet journal, which I have to figure out how I want to do this year in terms of the plan with me, if I want to mush the quarterly plan with me in with my whatever month plan with me, or if I want to keep them as 2 separate videos. I will probably find out for Q1. So yeah, this is going to be the start of my quarterly stuff and then going into January. And this is actually on page 19. So I basically set up 18 pages for the front of my bullet journal. And obviously I do still have to go through and fill some stuff out. And as I mentioned, I will try and fill out what I can. Obviously with certain of them, they're just kind of there as year-long tracking. But for things like the goals, I'll try and fill out what I can before my Q1 plan with me, just because it takes a lot of time. And so it's easier for me to do it off camera, and then I can kind of walk you guys through it. So that is everything that I have in my bullet journal. So you know what we're gonna do? We are gonna go ahead and, so I am going to be using my notebook cover, so I don't need that elastic to be available for use. So I just kind of put it on the back there, and then I don't keep anything in these back pockets because meh, I just never do. So we're gonna go ahead and slide, see if I can. I actually haven't even tried this, so this is gonna be fun. Okay, so slide in the back there, and then I don't know where I'm gonna keep, it's so weird, I haven't had bookmarks in like a year, literally a year. I say it like it's been longer than that. It's been a year because last year I used a LEUCHTTURM. So I think we're gonna just like bookmark one over here, and then we're gonna do one on, oops, my goals overview, just because I have to set that up. So there, and then we're gonna move this off to the side. So the next thing I filled out was my reading challenge. So I still have to put these stickers in there. So I did set up my reading challenge, and I honestly just, my handwriting was so bad today that I was like, you are just gonna use a Micron and just block print because that's fine. So just very simple setup over here, 50 books, 5 in French, 3 in Spanish, 1 in Italian. I have my tracker, which is the exact same tracker that I have been using since the beginning of time, AKA like 2016 or something like that. I love it, it's just super simple. So I go ahead, I set up 3 spreads. This allows me room for over 100 books, because I think if I remember for this year, I'm at, yeah, 63 books is right kind of at the bottom of the second page. So even if I hit like basically 70, I'm at the top of this page. So given kind of my past record of how much I read, I just go ahead and set up those 3 spreads just so everything's all together, and then I just leave it blank if for whatever I don't actually use. And then the last thing I set up in here was my 2021 textiles, and I decided to change it. Instead of doing 2021 sewing, I was like, I'll just say like textiles, because I have embroidery, I have hand sewing, make 9, like all that kind of stuff. And I did kind of make it a little smaller because there's always a chance that I will do something new, and maybe I'll want to actually have room to add it on here. So as we chatted about in the pre-plan, I have done embroidery, so 3 big projects, and I've done just 3 little boxes so that I can describe what the project is when I get to it. Then I have my hand sewing category, and I've got a garment, so I just did, you know, garment and then a colon so I can write in what it actually is, and then hand quilting, same thing. So either I, you know, will have room for more hand sewing stuff, or I will have room for another project if I start doing something else. Like, I don't even know. Like, I have this idea that I want to try and learn how to weave or something, which I probably shouldn't because I have so many projects that I do. But I figured I might as well just like kind of leave that space so I can fill it in if I do ultimately need something. Then on this side, I have the Make 9, and I decided to just straight up write them in pencil because I changed my mind so much this year that I just didn't feel like having to white out all over this spread. Yeah, so I have, basically they're in 3 columns. So the first column I decided to do, these are all kind of like undergarmenty things. So actual undergarments, period panties, and layering tops. So like for me, that means turtlenecks basically. So then in the middle column, I have an Edwardian top, an Edwardian skirt, and an Edwardian petticoat. And I left it kind of vague so that I can specify the pattern later when I decide exactly what I'm gonna do. But that's kind of the idea I have for this particular project, is something in that vein. But I'm trying to allow it to be a little bit broader than I did this year so that I hopefully will get everything done in like the range of things I wanted to make, as opposed to saying like, I want to make this specific pattern, even though I have a limited number of patterns that I own that like I would make. I want to give myself a little bit of flexibility. Anyway. And then the final one is a 50s top, a 50s circle skirt, and a 50s crinoline. So yep. We'll see how that goes. And then I almost forgot, I literally talked about this, I think, in the pre-plan, and then didn't actually write anything down when we were working on that. And as I was like getting through my Make 9, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have my Me Made May. So I did Me Made May, and what I did for this one is I wrote down some ideas. Since I did do it this year, I wrote down some ideas for what I kind of wanted it to look like this year. So I decided that it was really nice for me to do like the mirror selfie every day and kind of see, because especially if I posted them on my actual Instagram feed, I could go back through and look, and it was really interesting to see like how frequently certain pieces came back around, like how much, basically I wore some pieces every single week sort of thing. And I had the idea this year that I wanted to do a blog post and basically on Instagram do, these are the outfits I did, and then on the blog post sort of do the stats, like how often did I wear a dress? How often did I wear a skirt? How often, like kind of do something like that. And honestly, time just got away from me this year. So I've added it on here as something to maybe work on as the month is going on, because it gets to be a lot of pictures if I actually do it every single day. And then I was thinking maybe it would be fun to do some kind of a challenge. So like only me made. So like in this year, it would probably mean only like garments and outerwear would be me made, because those are things I actually have made. So, you know, even no undershirts that aren't me made, or, you know, not wearing any of like my ready to wear coats or something. I mean, it's in May, so like I don't know how many coats I would actually wear, but stuff like that, as opposed to like tights. I don't know how to make tights, so like those are obviously gonna not be me made. And then maybe do something with like a vintagey styling. So see at this point, this like halfway point through the year, do I actually have enough me made pieces that I can kind of make look a little bit vintagey or not? So these are just kind of some ideas. And obviously, you know, it's November now. I have some time before this comes around. So I do have some room. I can add some more ideas down here, or again, I can use this for something else if I need to. So yeah, that is all in here. And now I'm up to page 93 in this book, which means that I've got like 20 pages left. So honestly, this will probably take me like another 4 years to finish, but that's fine. So the last thing is I did start setting up a couple of things in my end book, just because there were a couple spreads I set up at the beginning of this year that I actually found really helpful that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. Now, most of the time in my end book, I don't actually migrate stuff from end book to end book as much as possible, just because it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of annoying to do, but I will go through at the end of this year and just make sure that if there's anything that is outstanding in my old end book, make sure it's like in here. But it is a good time, like that's a really good time for me to go through and like take a hard look at what is actually relevant still and what I really don't need to migrate. So usually a large number of the things that are not necessarily like finished collections aren't necessary for me to migrate, because they're kind of out of date at that point. Anyway. So the first one I did is I set up a 4-year tickler. So this is really good for me. It's where I write down, for example, the reminder to book all of my doctor's appointments, or I'll write in which year like my visa is due. So I'm gonna have to like start doing the paperwork for that earlier that year or whatever. So I just like having this because my Google Calendar is less, like I can't really drop things in at a year level. So that's why I like to have this. And then I also, mostly I did this because I realized that I literally just like freehanded this, and I realized after I had set it up that I was like, oh, this is not like, it was a lot longer than it should have been. So I was like, oh, I'll do like this one, and I'll do a someday thing, like maybe things in the next like 5 or 10 years that I want to work on. So honestly, it was really to make the space look a little bit more even, but I'll see if it's something that I actually use. Then I have my 2022 possible goals. I like to have this here and kind of ready to go, so that if I think of something, rather than writing it on for this year or writing it on, like if it's something really in the future, I'll write it on here. But if it's something like, oh, that would be fun to work on, and I go, wait, hold it. I've already got a ton of goals for 2021. Let's put it as a possible goal for 2022 and see what happens. So that I like to have that kind of it like straight away, so that I can start dropping things in here if I need to, because then it makes it so that I don't just keep adding to stuff for 2021, even though there's really no way I'm gonna get through all of it. Then I also did my holidays page, and again, I did everything in pencil because who even knows? You know what I mean? Like who even knows? So I have a couple of things that like I've been talking about with my family, or that I've been planning for a while. So I went ahead and I dropped those in there again in pencil in case things change and I am not actually able to go, but gives me a little something to look forward to, and you know, we'll see. So that is actually all that I have set up in here. This is one that really just kind of grows and develops as the year goes on, but I did have a couple of things I wanted to make sure that I set up. So let us go ahead and head back on over for the outro. So that is a wrap on my 2021 Plan With Me video, which I am so glad to have that done, because it always just feels, I don't know, it feels really good to set up for a new year and to have kind of that fresh slate for new ideas and all of that, even though I feel like a lot of my goals don't necessarily change year to year, because I have these just kind of big goals that kind of just keep on going. But it does feel good to have a fresh perspective on some of the projects that I do still want to work on again. So I'm thinking of things like my Make 9, you know, sort of revamping the way that I'm thinking about that. And even with my top 5 goals, I wasn't even sure that I was going to do them. I thought I was going to only do 3, and I do like that I was able to figure out 5 that seem to really, you know, be important for me and be things that I actually want to work on. So Oh my gosh, this particular video has been a whirlwind because I did have to film it over the course of 2 days, so I hope it is not too choppy because honestly my state of mind between yesterday and today are a little bit different, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, as well as being the end of my 2021 pre-plan video, this is also a wrap on my 2021 Mega Goal Planning Week video extravaganza thing. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope that it was helpful if you are thinking about signing up for 2021, maybe just seeing how I work through different things or to get some new ideas to try or things like that. So yeah, I hope that you planned along with me if you were at that point where you were ready to start setting up for next year. And I hope that if you aren't quite ready to set up for 2021, that you'll come back and visit these videos again and maybe see if you can get some inspiration. So that is all I have for you guys for today. I will have a video up on Sunday, but it is going to be kind of a low-key non-planning video because after this whirlwind week, I think we all just need a little bit of a break. So yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, let me know down below and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Hey guys, so if you've made it all the way to the end of this video and are actually watching my end screen and you're not subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you would. There's a little button right there for you to do it. And if you're interested in watching some more of my videos, I have links to 2 of my older videos off to the left there, so you can check those out if you would like to, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!